Hello,
How are you?
I'm fine. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Clive.
Well,
Gonna make this a little bit bigger, the screen here. There we go. How you doing?
okay, that's better. Full screen for here as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Just gonna turn you up so I can hear you, and I'm
Okay.
ready.
Right. This is the first.
Oh, the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've been doing everything from Zoom to WhatsApp to Skype,
Yeah.
FaceTime. I've done it all at this.
Okay. Yeah. I've done Zoom meetings, but I've never done a one-to-one. So this is
Right.
so we'll see how it goes. But it's great to do it virtually and see what you, how you are. So
Yeah.
I've got a bunch. I did a little bit of reading up last night, and I found out that it's my great loss that I've missed out on about 5 years of your music.
That's okay. It's because we just hired like so many people, so
Yeah.
so many different publicists. So
Okay. Now
this is the
that's
first
good.
big budget.
I'm happy I've covered up now with the Reckless one. But the first question I'm going to ask you is the Reckless one. How did that come about? What's the origin of your nickname, as it were?
So the reckless one is I started writing for the record around a time where I just hadn't I'd gotten out of a really long bad relationship,
Okay.
and I got out of it very recklessly. I didn't give it much thought. I just kind of packed my bags and left. And around the same time, I met somebody, and somebody new, and just kind of started quickly falling in love with him.
Yeah.
So I felt a little bit reckless. So that's
Okay.
why I called the album The Reckless One.
And why not? And it works well.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you a bit of background stuff. Can I call you Sam rather than Samantha, or do you prefer
Of course.
Samantha?
Yeah, no, of course. Everybody calls me Sam.
Okay, right. I was just my usual routine with these things is what music from your biography on your website. You're citing Aretha Franklin and Sharon Jones as your two key influences there. Though I hear a lot more in your voice beyond that. I hear Ruth Brown. I hear Big Maybelle. I hear so. How did you first find the music, either at home or at school? What was your first blues type entry, as it were?
Yeah, well, um it started more with Fats Domino. I
Yeah.
think was like the first sort of R&B blues record that I ever listened to, and that was because it was in my grandparents' record collection.
Okay. Yeah. That's the
Um,
route. Yeah.
are you familiar with Reader's Digest?
I know of Reader's
Oh,
Digest. Yeah.
yeah, so in North America, Reader's Digest was a big thing, and they
Yeah.
had where you could buy, sort of like the best of compilation
Oh yeah.
CDs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it would be like a 4 CD box set kind of deal. And so my grandfather was a really big Reader's Digest orderer. So much to like my grandmother just always made fun of him because he was constantly ordering really really cheap costume jewelry and CDs and stuff. So
Yeah.
um one of the CDs in that collection of Reader's Digest box sets was Fats Domino, and there was also a Staple Singers.
Okay. Right.
And so those were the two times where I was, and Mahalia Jackson.
Yeah.
So those were sort of my first introduction into that style of music.
Yeah.
And then when YouTube became a really big thing, my mom influenced sort of what I'm doing now. My dad influenced what I did in the beginning of my career because my dad was a big country guy. So he
Yes.
would play a lot of like Hank Williams and Willie Nelson and
Yeah.
Waylon
Your mum was a
Jennings.
blues fan.
Yeah. So, and my mom listened to it. Actually, she was more of a rock and roll fan.
Okay.
So she listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
And yes, that rock and roll music was very blues based.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when YouTube came out, I just dug a little bit deeper into what influenced Janis Joplin, what influenced Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Well, that all becomes clear now, because your voice, I think, probably better to my ears. Janis had a very coarse voice. Yours is a more soulful voice, but that's the route you're coming from. Combination of Janis Joplin and Mahalia Jackson together is quite a formidable combination.
Yeah, I get compared to Janis Joplin a lot, and I think it's just because I have a bit of a rasp.
Yes.
And I sing with, I guess, maybe the same emotion or the same power, and people make that connection.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's funny because I don't really sound like Janis Joplin, like as far as like the tone of my voice.
Yeah.
But you know, people like to draw neat little lines
Oh,
to.
sure, yeah. But you're very much you. I mean, this is you. I can hear those in you, but you've got a distinctive own brand voice, Sam. So that's a good mark for you.
Well, thank you.
And your band as well. That's a really cooking band.
Aren't they? I love my band. They're so great. I really love playing music with them. They're very creative, and they've been influenced by all the right things.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you that came out from your looking at your site and the albums, Delta Sugar, these are your backing singers, not your band?
No, Delta Sugar is the band.
It's the band. Okay, right.
Yeah, Delta Sugar is whoever the band is
Sure.
playing with me.
Right, and
It's
that's
a
fine.
common misconception.
Yeah.
A common misconception. Delta Sugar is the name that I gave the band because it was indicative of the style of music.
Sure.
It sort of brought out, you know, like the cinematic where
Yes.
the
Oh,
music
absolutely.
comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. It sums it all up, Sam. That's fine. There seems to be your music has kind of evolved a bit. I was listening back through the Send the Nightingale album, and there's a lot more rootsy blues there, which is great to listen to. But you've kind of got a slightly more sophisticated is too makes it sound too soft, but you've kind of gone into a more production style with Reckless One, which is great because it sells it more. Have you seen that as a conscious evolution of music?
Yeah, I sort of it's a conscious evolution of budgets for recording, you know.
Yeah.
But when we recorded Send the Nightingale, first of all, the band was only a 4-piece. It was myself, a guitar player, and the 2 original Delta Sugar members. Cherie's still part of the band, but Stacy has moved on and she's singing with Amanda Marshall now.
Okay.
So, which is another, you know, really great Canadian lady singer, artist.
Yeah.
So unfortunately we don't get to work with Stacy very often anymore, but yeah, we started the recording for Send the Nightingale around the time that I had found out that my mom had been diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
Okay.
so my writing at that time was maybe a little bit morose because I was dealing with my own stuff personally.
Yeah.
And gospel music just really lended because it was that moment where you were sort of looking for hope or looking for, you know, like sort of like some sort of comfort. And I find that gospel music does that regardless of whether you're religious or not.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
You know, so I tended to lean really heavily on the gospel side of music at that point in my career and that point in my life. I was listening to a lot of Mavis Staples and the Staple Singers and the like. And gospel music, like we were sort of doing that early gospel, early Staple Singers kind of sound where it was, you know, just pop Staples on the guitar and
very much,
singing, you know. So we were leaning heavily on it. But when we put out Run to Me, which was the second record Delta Sugar ever did, I had expanded the band, and the way I was writing was lending itself more to like horn sections and keys and that sort of thing. So we expanded there. And then that was, I think, more me than the gospel stuff. Like I can do the gospel stuff, but I think it was more me now as I've grown as an artist.
You've got more comfortable with it, sort of.
I've definitely got more comfortable with it. And so we just kind of continued from Run to Me into the Reckless one, and the budget increased a little bit. So we were able to really go heavily on the production. And it also is the producers, you know, so Run to Me was produced by Darcy Yates. And then I brought Darcy for the Reckless one and added Renan Yilizdoan. And he brings more of the bells and whistles, and he's the kind of guy that wants, you know, he's like, oh, you know what I hear? I hear a string section. Oh, you know what I hear? Mellotron. You know, like these sorts of things. And Darcy deals more with like the meat and potatoes of a song. And he's how can I say it? He's a minimalist.
Yes.
When it comes to music. So, and then Renan is like an over the top. So between the two of them, I got the best of both worlds. There was some balance, a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. And your mention of Mavis Staples, he goes, Mavis has a very low register voice for a lady, which kind of fits in with what you're doing. So so you can match up with her influence on that quite nicely, which goes down so well with what you've done on the Reckless One album.
Thank you. Yeah, I do have a low, I'm definitely a contralto, you know, so I do have a lower voice. My speaking voice wouldn't sometimes. So, but when I start singing, I feel those low notes.
Yeah. I was so pleased when I heard that I've Got a Feeling was being put out as a plug track. When I first got the album, that was the first track that I kind of hooked onto, and I've been playing that. So then I was told I asked to play the first track 3 on the album. I forget what it's called. Don't
Have to Be.
Yeah, which is good and funky. But I think as soon as you hit the first note of I've Got a Feeling, it kind of just grabs
it's, I mean, I've Got a Feeling felt really special from the very beginning. First of all, it's about me falling in love, you know. So I'm sort of one of those songwriters who tends to write about love leaving more than love sticking around or falling in love, that sort of thing. But even when we went into demo the song, there was something about it. It just felt special.
Yeah. And it sounds
and it don't have to be as like, it's great and it's danceable and it's fun and it's light and it's happy, you know, and sing, like people can sing along and that sort of thing. So there's balance in the record, and I think
absolutely, this is why when you're tracking through it, what do I want to play? Do I want to play a fast track or a slow track or a funky track? Don't Pass Me By was another one that caught my ear as well.
That one's super fun. That's more of the Ike and Tina sort of like Ike and Tina Turner review style. You know, you can just I'm not looking forward to learning the, you know, choreography that's going to have to go along with that, and then having to sing it. So but it's the record as a whole is pretty balanced, I found, as far as ballads and upbeat, up tempo, you know, rock and roll kind of stuff. But I Got a Feeling, and you know, like this is the thing. I've Got a Feeling is almost a 6-minute long song, you know?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So we didn't know if radio was going to be, you know, willing to catch on to that, because it didn't hit that 3.5 minute magic mark, you know, like there's 2 songs. I feel like I'm hogging the airwaves, but hopefully people, you know, can appreciate the fact that I just needed that time to get through that feeling.
Yeah, so. And I think there's more acceptance of the fact that people have longer, the 2.5 minutes that I grew up with as an old guy in the 60s, that's kind of long gone, but people are becoming more acceptive of 5-minute and 6-minute tracks where you musicians can stretch out as well.
Yeah, and I feel that I need to thank Leonard Skinner or something for Freebird to just,
Yeah.
for, or like the Allman Brothers or something for, pushing people's limits of attention span.
Yeah, you're quite right. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
wasn't happening in the 60s and 70s, but that kind of happened with the Southern rock kind of thing. That
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Jam band kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Which,
So,
like Delta Sugar isn't much of a jam band. Like we barely have solos in most of the songs, so.
no, well, that's why occasionally when there's a sax solo comes in, I think, well, that catches the ear a bit, but it works. It all works. But Sam, what do you listen to when you're relaxing, or are you always looking for inspiration for new things to write about?
I tend to listen to, it depends on my mood. If I'm trying to like relax, I tend to listen to a lot of like 50s, 60s, 70s style, like Otis Redding.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of even Charles Bradley, which would be like more contemporary.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar style, but contemporary. Lee Fields.
Yeah.
I love the Black Pumas.
Yeah.
They're one of my most sort of listened to new contemporary. When I'm driving in my car, it's a lot of Marcus King, Teskey Brothers, those sort of contemporaries.
Yeah.
Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, just because it kind of gets you hyped up. But when I'm writing, I tend not to listen to a whole lot of music outside of.
No, you're focusing on what you're doing.
Yeah. I tend to like turn off the music, and just because I don't want to be overly influenced by what somebody else is already
Yes, no, you
doing.
have your own thought process to work upon. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also found early on in my career, if I was listening to music and then trying to write, I was just essentially rewriting what somebody had already done,
I can understand that. Yeah, yeah.
So I caught myself a few times where I was like, that sounds really familiar. Like that wasn't an original thought. and and then the producer would be like, that sounds a lot like, this song by this person. I'm like, makes sense. I was listening to that record. So, I forced myself not to.
One thing I have found comforting in your songs, this isn't a content thing, it's a style thing. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end to your songs. It's nice having a record with a clean finish on, because so many tracks that I play have got long fades, but you have a nice clean, the band finishes bang on the note and that's it.
Yeah, that's because when I write songs, I try to think of live, how these songs are going to go live.
Yes.
And, you can't have a studio fade in a live set.
No, you can't. No,
so, so we tend to, when I say we, I mean myself and my producers and also the co-writers, I kind of set the tone and say, this needs to have a definitive end for the most part.
Yeah.
There are the two songs that have more of a vamp at the end, which would be I've Got a Feeling and Loving You Is Easy.
Yeah.
Those have more of a, like Loving You Is Easy for sure, because that was a studio fade. Now we live get the audience singing along with us.
Yeah.
And then I walk off the stage while the band is still playing the music and they have an end, that sort of thing. So it's more of, that's the song that we would end a set with.
Yeah.
Before the encore, hopefully, if we've done our job right.
Oh, you must get an encore for sure.
We tend to, yeah. I don't want to jinx it though. I don't want to say, oh yeah, we get a encore every time, and then start you don't, not getting encores.
I just noticed on the Send the Nightingale album, you're carrying or wearing and playing a steel guitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I bought that guitar. That's a really funny story, actually.
Tell me.
I was playing a lot of slide guitar for that around that time, and I was teaching myself how to play slide guitar in an open tuning.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, the acoustic guitar is fine, I guess, but you know, it'd be really cool if I could have this steel guitar, this resonator.
Yeah.
So I went online and I was, you know, looking, and there was a company out of Rowlett, Texas, that made sort of a national guitar knockoff. It was called the Republic Guitars.
Yeah.
You know, so I went to online on the Republic Guitars website and I bought that guitar, and it was $500 all in with the pickup
Yeah.
shipped to my door. And I thought I had bought a silver resonator, and when it showed up, it was gold.
Oh.
And I was like, cool. I didn't know. And you know, unfortunately, as $500 guitars, you know, tend not to last very long.
Yeah.
And you know, it's in a little, after so many tours, it's in a little bit of disrepair, so I have to get it fixed now.
But it gives you a distinctive sound, though. You don't get that sound very often on with a regular guitar. The steel guitar gives you a distinctive image.
Yeah, it's also, you know, a distinctive tone as well.
Yes,
and
indeed.
and
Yeah.
I played it a lot through Fender Deluxe,
Yeah.
with the reverb and the tremolo cranked, and
Ow.
yeah, and just like, you know, made it dark and stormy.
Yeah.
That was the tone, dark and stormy, lots of bottom end. Because
Yeah.
that was the other thing too, is we didn't have a bass player. We didn't have keys in early Delta Sugar stuff. So I used that guitar
Are
to
you
kind
playing the
of get
bass
that
line on
bottom
it?
end.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it works well. It worked well on a steel guitar because you've got that resonating body, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed playing that guitar. I need to get it fixed. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, this is this is like a conversation between friends rather than an interview. So I'm happy.
Well, I mean, we are friends. We just didn't know it yet.
This is true. This is true. Right. So what I've asked you about your contemporary music. I've seen your track record on the albums you have on your website, and so I've seen how you progressed in style and sophistication, in a manner of speaking. So what's next for Sam?
Oh man, I don't know what's next for me. Because with the pandemic and everything, you
Yeah.
know, normally I would say, well, now we're going to take it on the road, you know,
Yeah.
see what happens. But now it's nothing more than see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
So you,
definitely, you know, definitely more of the same. Like the next record would be more of the same, because I feel like I've really found my voice, my writing style,
yes.
you know, like where it's everything that influenced me, but I'm not taking anything from anybody that influenced me. I've
Yeah.
made it my own.
You've got your own, yeah, yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
if you've heard yet. You're also it's on the list now as one of the 4 albums of the month for the British Blues Federation. So you're going to get even more plays, which is great to hear.
It is great to hear. I got that email this morning. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, right on. Yay. You
Yeah,
know, 'cause
so now you need a Maple Leaf Award as well.
oh yeah, those Maple Blues Awards, dang things. Oh gosh, they're elusive.
So many nominations, but not the actual award yet. That'll come
Always,
for sure.
Clive, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. No, but the Maple Blues Awards are an interesting award situation. So the nominating panel, you get nominated by a nominating panel of people in the industry.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to actually winning the awards,
Yeah.
most of the categories are a fan vote.
Okay.
So, you know, anybody who lives and it's only in Canada.
It's only local people.
You can't vote unless you live in Canada.
Ah, right.
So, you know, the reason why you see a lot of the same winners every year is because they've been doing it for the last 30 years and touring Canada for the last 30 years. So they have like a very extensive fan base.
Yeah.
that is very engaged in that sort of thing. And I'm still kind of new on the scene.
Yeah.
So give me another couple years. I'll get a couple of those
Yeah.
little blue maple leaves.
Yeah.
But
The other thing
I
I'm going to
got
be,
the Juno nomination was cool though. For Run to Me, the Juno nomination was
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
You're getting there. You're getting there. The next thing I'm going to do for you is I've just been reading a lot on the social media about the amount of money you don't get from downloads. So my next target is to drive all my listeners to your website to buy your product, hard copy online direct from you rather than streaming it. So they've got the CD in their hands and you get money in your pocket.
You know what? And I can't appreciate that any more than I do. It's, because it is streaming does not pay
No.
very well at all. But especially if you go through the artist website to purchase the music, it definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And the CD is the CD that fans are getting, like not the promo copies, but the actual CD.
Yeah.
It's got gold foil, it's embossed, it feels good in your hands. It's very colorful.
I'm gonna have to buy one of those as well.
Yeah, well, I'll get one in the mail for you. But the website is samanthamartinmusic.com, and you can find all the merch there.
Sure, that's what I'm going to be doing. Is I'm also doing a monthly column now for Blues in Britain magazine, which is your feature apparently in the November issue, which is coming out to me this week. And
Yeah.
I've just started doing my next month's reviews, and Reckless One is going to feature again because now we've got the plug side to push and more tracks and this interview to mention as well. So you'll get a double mention in there.
Oh, that's awesome! I'm so happy. It's a beautiful thing because, you, as an artist, you make these records and you put your heart and your soul and your blood, sweat and tears into it. And, it feels nice that people, are really digging the record and, giving it lots of attention. It feels good. I really appreciate it.
Well, I've been playing writing about records for like 50 years now, Sam. So I was there at the beginning in the 1960s, seeing all the American artists coming over. So when I hear a record like yours, and it equates to me, along with the classics of Etta James and of Irma Thomas and that, and I think, well, this girl's got it. So we'll push you and plug you and we get you up there.
Oh, I appreciate it, Clive. I really do.
And the other thing, just as a closing remark, to echo what we were saying just now, I had the pleasure of interviewing Marcia Ball when she came to London end of last year before the pandemic struck. And I was speaking to Marcia about the downloads thing. And she said much to the same as you said, that she said, I don't do downloads because when somebody downloads the record, they've got it in their ears, they don't have any physical product, they don't have any identity for the singer. They've got the music, but they've got no product. So she was very dismissive of that, as is quite reasonably. It's the way forward for people to become aware, but it's not a collector's way, is it? It doesn't help you.
No, and it also just downloading music, it becomes a disposable.
Yes.
Like I feel exactly that it becomes disposable.
Yeah.
And when you took the time to purchase a physical product, it's a physical thing and you can hold it and you can see how much work went into it.
Yeah.
And
you
how
can
much
read the credits and everything, so you know who's playing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes more of a connection.
Yeah.
A fan and artist connection. And I don't know about other people, but I've moved around a fair bit, in the last couple of years, and it's just so hard, like, because I keep trying to downsize my music collection, and because I don't want to carry it, but but it's like, okay, well, I don't even know who this person is, but I have their CD, and then I'll like, it takes me hours to pack my CDs because I'll listen to it and I'm like, do I still like it? Do I still like it? Not really. So, like maybe that was a flash in the pan kind of thing. Okay, well, I can put that one away, and then I'll put the next one on and be like, oh no, I still really like this one. I'm going to hang on to it. And the artwork sometimes
Yes.
helps decide that, where I'm just like, look at how beautiful this artwork is. It's a piece of art in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know,
And as you
sometimes
can
I
see
might not
behind
even like,
me, my whole
yeah,
collection is CDs and vinyl, going back like decades, where you can sit and read about the artist while you listen to the music.
yeah. And, you know, and that's the other thing too, is like when I decided to do this album and like the artwork for this album, I'd done photos because people needed to see who I looked like and, you know, see the band and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But with this record, this is the third record, I was like, no, I want a piece of art, you know, is to match what it is that we're doing musically. So it needs to be vibrant and colorful and a little bit, you know, like all the bells and whistles. So that's why things are embossed and gold
Okay,
foiled
right. Yeah, yeah,
and it's bright and colorful. Whereas my last couple records were like, the visuals for the album artwork were quite muted.
yeah,
So this record's like, you know, huge, big bang, kind of like,
yeah.
hi, I'm here.
So
I
the
have
restless one is
arrived.
here.
Yeah, yeah. I have arrived.
You've arrived, yeah. Right, on that note, Samantha Martin, thank you for the music and thank you for your time.
You're absolutely welcome. Pleasure to talk with you, Clive.
Okay, I hope we hook up in person at some point in the future.
Well, it's so long as we can get over there, it's looking like maybe April or May.
Oh, okay, right, fingers
Yeah,
crossed. Okay,
yeah, fingers crossed.
thanks.
Absolutely. Take care, Clive.
Bye.
Bye.